This week on LatterDay News.
You're ready to load?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
The church celebrates the 200th anniversary of the restoration with food donations in Palmyra, New York. A look at the Salt Lake City Temple 9 months into the historic renovation.
You're not in a mindset to see the situation clearly.
This is a tragedy.
The state wants justice.
4 people died, Chris.
And finally, revisiting a miracle story about forgiveness with a new podcast and book. But first, the headlines.
Yeah, this is just incredible, man. I can't say thank you enough. I'm gonna cry.
A devastating windstorm blesses the lives of Utah's Native Americans. Northern Utah suffered through blasts of wind up to 100 miles per hour, damaging homes and scattering thousands of trees throughout the area. Operation Firewood Rescue turned tragedy into opportunity.
With COVID-19, most of the people on the Navajo reservation haven't been able to gather wood. And that may not sound like that big a deal to us, but for them, that's the only heat and generally the only way that they can cook food. This solved what could have been just a horrible disaster for them. And it will bless lives in ways that we can't even begin to imagine.
Altogether, 3 million pounds of firewood will be distributed to Native American tribes in Utah.
It's a tragedy to see those trees go down, but they were able to take that tragedy and turn it into a miracle of love, a feeling of warmth that is not just in the wood that will burn, but in the hearts that will swell with love. It'll give for a long time.
This is a church initiative for the 200th anniversary of the first vision of Joseph Smith out in Palmyra, where he saw God the Father and his son Jesus Christ 200 years ago. 200 donations in the year 2020 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the first vision.
Church food donations in Rochester, New York, near Palmyra, help unemployed workers during the pandemic. Partnering with nonprofit food pantries and local charities, the church donated 800 tons of food to help relieve the hardship that has been placed on residents due to the pandemic.
You know, you see so much devastation here, and it can really kind of get you down. You know, you drive through Talent and Phoenix and just see block after block after block of burned homes.
A rogue fire ravaged over 2,300 homes in Medford, Oregon, early this September. Members and missionaries continue to help their neighbors recover.
This has given me a bird's eye view of like the best of people. We've had cars donated, we've had money donated, we've had housing situations donated. People are so very good.
And that's the headlines. This week's Temple Updates includes an exclusive look at the progress of the Salt Lake Temple 9 months into the renovation.
Now, during this phase, most of the improvements around the temple that were done in the 1960s have been removed.
The ceiling addition, north entrance, and chapel have been removed, and much of the debris will be set aside for recycling. The next phase will include further excavation around the temple, digging down 40 feet to reinforce the foundation with a modern earthquake system.
The dished plate would actually allow it to just kind of float and just kind of slow the building down as it starts to come back down and settle down. If any building in the valley is worthy of going to this extent, this is the one.
We seek the inspiration of Father in heaven, and we know that He'll give us His guidance in building His house.
I truly believe that we have been guided. The engineers have been guided in working through all the details and so forth. And as we discover things, it's put on the table, it's worked out, and things continue to progress and move forward.
There's been significant changes around the temple, but trust that this is a phase and a step to the important process of strengthening the temple and preparing it for many generations in the future.
And now, LatterDay News ends with a story about 2 people brought together through tragedy.
Hello, this is Cameron. Oh my goodness. Can't believe it. I appreciate you going and doing this, even though it's not necessarily the most pleasant or fun conversation.
Katherine Schwarzenegger Pratt's latest podcast includes both member Chris Williams and Cameron White. White was the drunk teenage driver that caused the death of Chris's pregnant wife and 2 of his children in 2007.
I saw a pair of headlights coming at me at incredibly fast rate of speed, so as I tried to do some maneuvers to get out of the way, it was too late. We were hit broadside or T-boned. As I surveyed the scene and saw my wife, I saw her chest go down and her last breath leave her body, and I wanted to cry out for her to come back.
What made the tragedy a miracle was the relationship that the father Chris formed with Cameron and his insistence that he knew that he forgave him and wanted him to seek true repentance for himself. You can watch the cinematic version of the story, Just Let Go, on Living Scriptures streaming.
But it was speaking to both of us. You need to do as much as you can to repair the damage you've done. Help other people somehow. And pick a date. And after that date, you need to let it go. You need to let it all just go. Thank you. Thank you.
The Gift of Forgiveness is a new book that includes this story and is now available by Katherine Schwarzenegger Pratt. Come back every Friday for more LatterDay News.